You know, well, we are very often, and also today we speak that we need just and lasting peace. And when we speak about the just, and this war, it's difficult to find just in this war because of such steps of Russia. Their war, their way of this war, how many people they killed, and thousands in the prison, and stolen children. And that's why we'll never forget it. And we can't forget it. And even if I hope that our partners on the same page with us, and not only hope, I see it, but we'll never forget it, and we will really do everything that people who began this war, who unprovoked war, all these people, yes, really will answer, and of course we will work on tribunal even after the hard part of this war. Even when we will go to the diplomacy, we'll never forget these surnames and these people.
So what the sanctions questions is concerned, what we see is that the sanctions already have a massive effect on the Russian economy. There are skyrocketing inflation, there is spiraling interest rates, so the effect is visible. Companies are leaving Russia. You see they are really grinding sanctions and biting sanctions. These sanctions are part of our approach that we want peace through strength. And it's very clear that unless Russia demonstrates by facts the true willingness to achieve a lasting and just peace agreement, we will increase punitive sanctions against Russia. So the precondition is first we have to see that there's action on the side of Russia towards a just and lasting peace agreement. Presently, there is no lasting peace agreement, so that it's much too early to speak about anything of potentially maintaining or increasing or lifting sanctions. This discussion can only be led after we've seen concrete steps on the Russian side.
Thank you very much. Of course, only Ukraine can decide when there are conditions to start effective, credible and sustainable peace negotiations. All of us welcome the huge efforts from President Trump to push Putin and Russia to negotiation, and I wish that these bilateral talks open the door for a really peace negotiation. But only Ukraine can decide when we have conditions to do this. But this war is not only about Ukraine, it's also about European security. And for this it is essential that Europe, as present in the negotiations and participate in negotiations. Not only the European Union, also our friends like Norway, Iceland, United Kingdom, because all of them are very engaged in the support of Ukraine, and they are very concerned about European security. Then I believe that if we reach to have a joint special envoy representing not only the European Union but also the other European countries, we strengthen our European position, and we will discuss this in the next European Council on the 6th of March that I yesterday invited the leaders to participate. And this special European Council is about how to strengthen our capacity to invest more, better, faster and stronger in our own capabilities, how to strengthen the Ukrainian capacity, but also how we can be prepared for participate actively in the future peace negotiations if and when they arrive. Thank you.
Thank you for that question. Well, from a Danish perspective, we are open-minded, and as I have said from the beginning of this war, we will be with our friends in Ukraine as long as it takes and to the end. I think for now, the most important thing is to ensure that Ukraine will get what they need on the ground. And therefore, I urge everyone to contribute more on donations, weapons, air defense, things we have discussed for several months and years now. I think that's the most important thing. And of course, a lot of questions has to be, answered before we can take a concrete solution when it comes to boots on the ground. And as Antonio Costa just said, this war is about Ukraine and it's also about European security. And therefore, we need to look at the entire eastern flank when it comes to deterrence and defense. But we are open-minded.
It's Estonia's birthday today, 107. The short answer probably would be that all of EU and NATO are under threat if Russia's and Putin's goals and objectives will not be changed. Longer one probably is that Estonia knows its neighbor well, as everybody does. We have invested in defense for many years, and we will. Our aim is to go to 5% of GDP. Next year it's probably near 4 already. And we know that independence is invaluable. That's why I'm here, not in Estonia celebrating Estonia's birthday, to support Ukraine. Because we have the common enemy and common fight. Ukraine is fighting the fight also for Europe and Nordics and Baltics, everybody. So to answer the question, the unjust peace probably would hit everybody. Also United States, because Iran, North Korea, everybody would assess that they can do whatever they want. So everybody in this probably are together. And to EU and everybody, just a thought that if you count the men who bear arms in Russia right now, if the war would end right now, there are more than it was before the war. What will they do? Will they become physical education teachers? Probably not. They will find new jobs. So this is a threat all over the world. Before the war, it was called Wagner's, whatever they were called. But right now, it's somewhat different. So to conclude, European Union, NATO, everybody in civilized and democratic world are under the threat until Russia is forced to change its goals. Thank you.
Again, my congratulations to you, your country, your people. We are very proud that today you are here in such a special day. Thank you so much, and my congratulations, and God bless. You'll never have a war. And what is very important, I think, in risk, answering your question, yes, all the countries which been before 1990, 1991, which been under Russian influence. Yeah, so I think Russia, first of all, wants to have their influence continued and be present on these territories of these independent countries, which been before, during Soviet period, being the republics of Soviet Union, and of course it's Ukraine and Moldova, and of course Estonia, Litva, Latvia, and of course where their influence was very strong during the 20th centuries, it's Poland, it's Slovak, and other countries. So the most dangerous moment when you have people who has Russian roots, it's not bad. I'm just how it was with Crimea. I'm just sharing with you our experience. When you have some society, and of course, if you are bordering with Russia, you have such society. I mean, it's with other nations, it's the same. So when you have Russian-speaking people, or their roots, or their families, which half of, again, my congratulations to you, your country, your people. We are very proud that today you are here in such a special day. Thank you so much, and my congratulations, and God bless, you'll never have a war. And what is very important, I think in risk, answering your question, yes, all the countries which been before 1990, 1991, which been under Russian influence. Yeah, so I think Russia, first of all, wants to have their influence continued and be present on these territories of on these independent countries, which been before, during Soviet period, being the republics of Soviet Union, and of course it's Ukraine and Moldova, and of course Estonia, Litva, Latvia, and of course where their influence was very strong during the 20th centuries, it's Poland, it's Slovak, and other countries. So the most dangerous moment when you have people who has Russian roots, it's not bad. I'm just how it was with Crimea. I'm just sharing with you our experience. When you have some society, and of course, if you are bordering with Russia, you have such society. I mean, it's with other nations, it's the same. So when you have Russian-speaking people, or their roots, or their families, which half of Estonian, half Russian, like we had Ukrainian, father Ukrainian, and Russian mother, it can be so. It's our history, very long. I mean, you are in risk, because it was with Crimea, it was with the East, with Donbass at the very beginning. They said that they are not occupying our territories, that they defend Russian-speaking people. That's why I think that Estonian people have these risks if we will fall down, Ukrainian. I think all such countries who I mentioned, I think have this risk because of Russian policy, because their view of the world, Russian world.
Yeah, so this is, we're obviously very much aware of our geographical situation in the world. And even though we might be a small country, we think it's very important that we show through direct action, not just with words, that we're stepping up. We are a country without a military, but we are a country that has high welfare because we have security. And I think there's increased understanding that defense for peace in Europe is extremely important. So we're making this step of doubling our contributions when it comes to defense for Ukraine. And our hope is that we will mostly use these funds to go through the Danish initiative, which we know has been very effective, both financially and for the Ukraine, but also through our demining efforts that we've worked on with Lithuania. So that will be our chief focus. But then we are also obviously supporters through the MB8 of the brigade. We don't have arms or a military, but we will be financially supporting that. So this is an important step for Iceland to take. And like I said before, important to show solidarity with Ukraine.
Well, first of all, Canada has been there for Ukraine from day one, indeed from before day one, as in 2015 we started training Ukrainian military forces on the ground in Ukraine, which was a significant part. Western training to the Ukrainian armed forces is one of the reasons why Ukraine has been able to stand up to the Russian invaders so effectively over the past years. It's not just Canada, a number of countries have been involved. But for historical reasons, Canada having the second largest diaspora of Ukrainians in the world means that we felt deeply connected to Ukraine, but we also believe deeply that it's not just about Ukraine. It's about the rules and the values and the principles of sovereignty, of independence, of territorial integrity that protects every country in the world. All of us rely on those rules to be able to build peace and security. And we know that with the world changing, we're all going to have to do more around peace and security. One of the key themes that we heard today, as we've heard from many, many partners around the world in NATO and elsewhere over the past number of years, is people are going to be doing more on defense. 9.5 years ago, when I took office in Canada, the previous government had us down below 1% of defense spending, even though the NATO 2% pledge had been made a year or two before. In the subsequent time, we have more than tripled defense spending on the path to 2030, and we're on our way to 2%. And we know we're going to have to continue to do more and more in an uncertain world, and Canada will be there. As to how we will be there, we will work with our neighbors on it, but everything is on the table because we need to make sure that might no longer makes right in this world. That's what has led to 80 years of incredible stability and prosperity, not just in Europe, but around the world, because of the institutions we built out of the ashes of World War II. And standing up for those institutions is in the best interest of every single one of us. Now, as a collection of different nations, we will have different perspectives from time to time on the best way forward, and those will be worked out in forums like this or at the G7 forum or elsewhere. But we are united in our values. We are united in wanting to see peace and fairness and prosperity for all our citizens, and that's what continues to drive us forward. Le Canada va toujours être là pour l'Ukraine. On est là depuis les débuts. On va continuer de l'être et on regardera comment on peut mieux aider dans les années à venir, parce que défendre l'Ukraine, c'est pas juste défendre l'Ukraine, c'est défendre les principes et les valeurs qui nous protègent tous.
Merci à vous.
Really, it was a pleasure.
That's okay. No, he can tell us how much he likes Canada. Because
I love Canada. And I really appreciate that we have such relations with you, Justin. And you helped a lot, and a lot of your people helped us at the very beginning of war. We never shared, by the way, that we've been in touch, and really at the very beginning of the war, we didn't have really huge technologies with drones and etc. When we began to produce drones, and even when we bought drones with some partners, they didn't have Canadian high-level optic technologies, and Canada helped us with this, and we spoke a lot of this, and we had this, and we began to helped our guys on the front line, on the battlefield, with these drones and etc. It was really first weeks and first months of the first year of war. Then, Justin, absolutely right about training missions. Really, the part of our army was prepared by Canadian officers, instructors. But what is very important, and it was very important again the first year, because they've been well trained. For today, the situation changed. After that, after Canada, we had such missions in Europe, in different countries, and then so the experience of this war gave us new knowledge of the war, and of course today when we trained abroad, we have to come back and train again on the battlefield, because the war is changing. It's technological war. That's why. But we really appreciate for your help and packages, military packages. So thank you so much. And I think that's all, yes?
Well, with regards to Donald Trump and having a North American partner here.
With Donald Trump? This is, by the way, this is question to you, to Canada. I mean, that's, well, with Donald Trump, now we had a conversation. It was very good conversation, G7 conversation with the leading role of Canada. Yes, thank you very much, Justin, for organizing this meeting. Everybody been there, and we spoke about it, and we hope that the United States will continue support, like all the partners. All the partners do it, and we need also not to lose this unity between Europe and United States. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we can proceed to Victor, finally to you.
I would say, because this is not the first time that I have to answer to this question, and I guess all the rest of colleagues, but I would say that first things first. and step by step. No, I think that now we're focused on what we are, which is to open a genuine peace negotiations talks, and for that is crucial, I would say critical, that Ukraine and of course Europe are implicated in the negotiation process. Second, I think it's critical for all of us to provide the security guarantees to Ukraine in order to reach that common goal that we have, which is to have a last and just peace for Ukraine and for Europe. So you know, I think these are now the questions that we have to answer, and we welcome, of course, this window of opportunity that now we have in order to speak about peace. But as I said before, I think it's important that to have the European Union and, of course, Ukraine implicated in these very important talks. And as I said during this morning, of course, you know, in 2024, Spain signed a very important bilateral security agreement with Ukraine that will last for the next 10 years. Last year, we provide 1 billion euros in order to provide military capabilities to Ukraine. This is something that we are going to repeat in the year 2025, and of course, we stand with Ukraine and of course with President Zelensky.
Thank you so much. Well, we're thankful to you, Pedro, your country, your team, and your people. We had, I think, the most difficult moments, 3 winters, blackouts, and etc. Now we're sitting in the middle of the winter. We have light, we have connection, we have internet, we have possibility to speak, and our people have electricity, and we see each other. That's good, very good. But this is the big work of a lot of partners. For example, I don't know if I can share when I came to Spain in a very difficult moment again in winter, and Pedro made a decision with I don't know if I can say number of hawks. I don't know. 6. It was decision I needed very much because we knew that they will attack very specific infrastructure of energy, and we needed very much 10 very quickly. I had to find very quickly 10 systems and through the world, and immediately Pedro gave me 6 hawks, and it helped. So thank you so much. And such things, this is illustration of our unity. And again, it means that we can trust each other and we count on each other, and we are very thankful. And I'm very thankful, like president of our nation, to all your nations. And this is very important. I think the same thing we will discuss. Now it's not for public because we didn't make a decision about the contingents and infrastructure for security guarantees. We are contingents or troops, how you say, or soldiers, like the journalist said. So we will discuss this infrastructure. The number, so of course I know the number what we need, and of course we will share it firstly, not in the open conversation. Yes, not to prepare Russians for this, and so we will discuss, and when we will make decision of what we see, how we see the number, and if it will be positive, we will share it. Of course we will share it. It's not a secret. It can't be without supporting of societies. Thank you. We hope that we can finish this war this year, not in 3 years. It's very, very difficult. Very difficult for all our nation to go through this war, but with all respect to our soldiers and our people. So I can't speak about 3 years. if we speak about how to prepare security because of the Russia, they can come back in 10 years if we will not be prepared. They will not come back if we will pressure them, put them to their place, to their territory. And if Ukraine will be in EU and in NATO in closest years, of course it will help us very much. And I think that they will not come back if we will have strong army and strong allies and strong unity, to my mind. Because they will never, forgive the world that they didn't win. And you see that they will not win.
Thanks.
Thank you. And what about Sweden?
Yes, you have a question to your Prime Minister or not? If not, we will proceed. No? I think everything was so clear. Okay, yes.
I have a question for my Prime Minister as well, Jonas Gahr Støre. Today, your colleague Mette Frederiksen in Denmark said that 3% of the budget to defense is not enough. You have set the goal to reach 3% within 2036. Do you think that is a fast enough pace?
Well, I think we have made that significant shift of lifting us far above 2%. First, we were among countries that did not have a plan. Then we had a plan. Then we moved beyond. We are now about 2.5, and we may reach 3% before 2036, by the way. I think we may need to invest more in defense. And I think that debate should be on figures, but also on quality and capabilities. Because if we get lost in figures, we will have 32 allies with silos and percentages. What we need to do now is to deliver on what we have agreed at NATO, in Vilnius and in Washington, about regional plans. So we work now with Sweden and Finland in the north of the Nordic region to make sense of our capabilities in defending the Nordic part of the Nordic region. And we debate with our Danish friends and our German friends and our British friends that around the North Sea, we should also have investment in the best capabilities. That may also lift percentage, but I would really like to see the output as the most important.
Thanks.
Given the uncertain situation right now in geopolitics, and a bit of a follow-up on the Finnish colleague here, do you see that Europe would need to rapidly increase its military aid to Ukraine? And is Europe capable of doing that? Thank you.
Actually, those are very easy questions. Yes and yes. But I think that for the second, what we really need is to, first of all, get a very clear message to the defense industry that we are going to spend more, because what defense industry needs a clear commitment. Number two, both on the national level, less at the European level, we still are experiencing all those procedures. Sorry to say, but I think that we need to get out of this kind of mode that we are very much process-oriented, but to move to the results-oriented. I do believe that we can do that, and I do believe that we must do that, and I do believe that we will do that.
I think so that all the defense or military industries of European countries began to increase the production because of this war. Began to increase the production, beginning from the artillery rounds to drone production, technologies, systems of electronic warfare, a lot of things, different things. But how to do, but it's not enough, and how to increase more quicker and be comparable with Russians is to invest more to Ukrainian production. Because our economy, we have military economy for today. We just produce, for example, like drones. We have 200 private companies. 200, it's a lot. Even small companies, they need financing, and they produce quicker than our government production. It's understandable, because without any bureaucracy, they just produce and help soldiers. And by the way, they help directly to the front line. what is important. They don't produce and just to give government, and then government think how to send it to the front line. So there are a lot of quick ways. For example, we did one thing. So I began to pay money directly to brigades. It's one of the versions, how to help them to produce quickly. And they really do a lot of things. And they buy and produce. There are brigades on the front line which produce at the same time. So really very sorry if I'm using not correct word, interesting, but it's incredible. So that's why we need additional financing for our Ukrainian production directly to private sector.